Imagine having a set of tools that can actually help you to reclaim your power in your life and to have more abundance and more fulfillment. Imagine being able to shine your light without fear of being judged or criticized or rejected, even. If this sounds like something that you would want to have in your life, or you know you need to have this in your life, then I invite you to tune in to this episode with my special guests, Rocio, Aquino, and Angel Arango. We had such an amazing conversation, and I cannot wait for you to dive in and listen.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Masks Off for People Pleasers and Perfectionists. I am Kim Gross, your host, and I'm so excited because it's been such a while since I've had a guest on the show. Today, I have with me Rocio Aquino, and Angel Arango. They are the co-founders for the highest good, a company dedicated to creating transformative narratives that inspire personal growth and empowerment. Together, they blend their vast professional and global experience to design projects that foster conscious leadership and a more authentic way of living. Rocio, born in Mexico City and now based in Los Angeles, has built a distinguished career in media and advertising sales, working with renowned companies such as the Time Magazine, TV Azteca, Nickelodeon. My kids would love that. Her career and life journey have taken her to cities like Miami, Hong Kong, and London, shaping her talent for connecting people, ideas, and opportunities. And then Angel, of course, originally from Puerto Rico and a graduate of Cornell University. Hello, New York.
Yes,
Hello, New
absolutely.
York. Had a successful career at Sony Pictures Entertainment, where he led content distribution teams across Latin America, Asia Pacific, and Europe, with experience spanning over 65 countries. Angel has merged his corporate leadership with a profound journey of self discovery and purpose. Love that. Both firmly believe that inner well being is the foundation for prosperity in all aspects of life, including business. They advocate that when a person is in harmony with themselves, their professional endeavors flow more authentically and productively, leading to sustainable and meaningful results. Their debut work, The Orchid, The Secret Code of Modern Goddesses, invites readers to discover their inner power and find balance in their lives. It serves as a reminder that self love, gratitude, and inner clarity are the keys to achieving success in all areas of life. And they have something very exciting to share with you that they only just found out 2 days ago. Welcome. And I would love for you to share this exciting news.
Kim, thank you for having us. Thank you for that lovely
Yes.
introduction. It is a pleasure to be here and to share with your listeners. Yes, we're excited, beyond excited, because our book, which has been released for about a year and a half now, since February of 24, was just nominated in 5 categories in the International Latino Book Awards, which is the largest literary award for Latino writers in the United States. And among them is Best Novel, Adventure, Drama, Best Audiobook, Best Cover, Best Trailer, and Best New First Time. And so we're really, really excited. That's on top of the Los Angeles Tribune naming it a bestseller, and also readers' favorites giving it a 5 out of 5 stars because of its content. So we're really excited to share with you and speak with you today.
I'm so happy for both of you. Congratulations. That's huge. As I was going through your bio, I have so many things that I want to talk about just based off of your bio. I really love anything to do with inner work and just being our true selves and being in alignment. In fact, today I was taking a walk upstate New York, September. The trees are just starting to turn. It's absolutely gorgeous. You could not ask for better weather. I'm out there taking my walk, looking at the trees, these big, tall oak trees, and I'm feeling such a connection to the energy of the trees. And then the next thing I know, I'm starting to feel overwhelmed. Like I just wanted to cry because I had so much gratitude and I was connecting to the energy that's in the trees, that's in me, the God nature that's in both. Feeling so grateful to be able to have my eyesight, to be able to see the trees. So grateful that I have ears and I can hear the birds, the crows, and the cars going by, and to feel the sun on my skin and the wind. I was so overwhelmed with gratitude. And why that's so beautiful and so freaking amazing is because that wasn't my story. There was a time that I would take the same walk and not feel any of that because I was living in my head. I was living in a place where I was going over my to-do list. What do I have to do next? Or I was ruminating on a problem or thinking about something negative. I was having an inner dialogue with myself that was just berating myself. So that's often the story for a people pleaser or a perfectionist. To be in that place of being able to really take all that in and embody it is crazy. You talk about this inner well being as well. And that when one is in harmony with oneself, like I just described, their professional endeavors, personal lives, relationships, everything just flows more authentically. So I'm wondering if you can talk in your own words, your own experience. What does it mean to you when you talk about being in harmony with oneself?
When
Thank
you
you.
achieve that. For example, in my case, I was that kind of person who never has this abundance from the inside outside. I was looking, but I didn't know what I was looking for. I grew up in a household when they didn't have it. The normal way of thinking was life is unfair. So I want to say sometimes that I grew up in a cult called victimhood. They teach you to see always the glass empty. You really have some moments of what you just described. And those moments are special, but you are not in that area all the time. So you train yourself to see always what is lacking. And is probably sometimes come from your house, for your culture, for the media, and all the things that surround us. At one point, when I was working in advertising, I begin to see all the things that they tell me that I need to have to really belong, to really be in this harmony, but I didn't find it. Even though that I have the house, the dog, the partner, all the things that society was telling me to have, I didn't find it. Was until I begin to do the inner work that I was able to say, the change was completely because my perception I changed my glasses instead of having always lacking to remove and begin to see, oh my God, how lucky I am to have so many possibilities. In that moment, I was unstoppable. And that's why we want to do a book to show more people how important is to begin to understand better yourself with your limiting beliefs, your ideas, and to manage your full self in the best way possible. So that was my case. And you?
Well, first of all, that was really beautiful. So
Thank you.
It
Thank you
was
so much.
beautiful.
Rocio and I have had different experiences in life. We both come from very humble backgrounds. We've had to work really hard at becoming who we've become. For a large period of our lives, we were into the doing. We got to do, we got to acquire, we got to do what everybody else is telling us to do.
Mhm.
It didn't fulfill us in different ways. I had a lot of wisdom inside, and it showed up many times in my choices, but I didn't have the language nor the understanding of how I was living. I was an automatic pilot, nevertheless. Rocio as well. The only difference between us was that I was enjoying my life a lot more than she was. And I didn't know to what extent, Kim, she was living hell inside. And I think this has to do also with the male female experience in this world. Obviously, we men have had a little bit easier of a time over hundreds, if not thousands of years. And women have been put against the wall and sometimes in the fire. And so all of that has created tensions in our bodies, in our experiences of living. But when we started doing this work, it was because I needed purpose in my life. I didn't quite know it. Luckily, I was let go of my job. And so that forced me to go down a path that seemed appropriate for me, but, that I could have fought, as many people do, because we become so intertwined, our identity does, with what I do, right? We ask somebody, tell me about yourself.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a doctor. I work on this. It's all about our job, because we've been trained.
We tell people
Yes.
what we do, but it's all of our masks.
And in fact, there's a lot of jokes out there, depending on the culture, that they say, well, you can only be three things: doctor, lawyer, or loser. And Rocio was looking for forgiveness because she wanted to forgive a episode in our lives in which we invested a lot of money and lost it. And I was able to say, well, it's my responsibility and I'm going to move on. And she was, yeah, I know, but I really do want the 1, 2, 3 ABC of forgiveness.
I really want to understand, really profound, because at one point I was reading and reading and reading, and I didn't understand how important is to really let go the association with the thought, with emotion. And in the moment that you begin to see that thought with emotion from another point of view and you release, you really are free.
Yeah, we can read all the books, talk therapy for years, watch podcasts, or do what the experts tell us. Just change your thoughts, change your mindset. I'm not going to say changing your mindset isn't part of it, but you have to change what's in your body. You have to change what's in your nervous system because that's trapped in there from our childhoods, all the wounds we have had over time. Every time we've been slighted, even as a little kid, each time an adult says or does something similar, it just re-triggers that, right? It reinfects that wound in us. So it's as important to do the healing in the body as well in order to have that true freedom.
Yes, and begin to see it from separate. So, for example, I'm able to see my wounded part and then my free part. And my free part is giving a lot of love to the wound part, to the insecure, to the people pleaser, to all that part.
Yeah.
And then I send love, but before that part used to rule my life. Because I was able to see it little by little, I was open and then sending love, and that's it. And continue and live a life full of freedom, original for me.
Your true self. That's what I call it. I help
Yes.
people to return to their true selves. Okay, I love all of that. And that then is the inner harmony, right? That was the original
Yes.
question. How do you describe the inner harmony? And then, Angel, you were talking a little bit about how even before you were in this place of you have to do A, B, and C, or have the perfect house, the 2.3 kids, the dog, and the white picket fence, and do all the things that society tells you to do to be successful in life, you know, to be a good standing citizen. And you said that wasn't fulfilling you anymore. You were trying to find more purpose outside of that. How did that show up for you?
It's so difficult to put it into words because you're bombarded on a daily basis with all these necessities,
Yeah.
messages, even more so now with social media, television, and advertising. It's gotten to the point where you won't be happy until we've been programmed to start looking outside for answers. As long as you look outside for answers, you're never going to find them. You're forever trying to reach for the carrot, and it's just unreachable because it's not designed to be reached. Because if you get it, you won't be in the mode of acquisition, right? And by the way, one of the things that it's really important to us is not about judgment. It is what it is, and it's happened, and that's okay. If you enter into judgment, that's a separate thing because then it's such a low energy. It's about becoming aware. That the day I found my answer, as Rocio mentioned as well, is the day that I realized that I could put into some form of organization and congruency my thoughts, my words, my emotions, and my actions. Because before then, I would think something, say something else, and act differently, right? It's almost like, oh my gosh, what did I tell that person? So you're spending constant energy trying to stay in some form of fake, integrity, which it just isn't because you're constantly shooting your energy in different directions. The moment you align all your energy, then a power appears and it's profound. You feel it, you experience it because you're no longer looking and spreading yourself thin in every one direction that exists. And it's how I found my harmony by really focusing and becoming aware that I used to be shooting in all different directions. Now it's focused. It's like the sun rays, right? It shines everywhere. But when you put a magnifying glass and you focus it, you can create fire. Think of that fire as the energy within us, that it becomes powerful when you center it on your purpose, on your dreams, on whatever it is that you want to achieve in this life.
I love that you said that. And this is where I want to go next. So I'm going to poke a little bit.
Yeah, of course. Please go for it.
So I already shared my experience on my walk today, that inner abundance, right? My inner landscape is definitely abundant and fruitful for sure. Many wisdom teachers will say that when your inner world, your inner harmony is in alignment, then you will attract and manifest, and the outer will come in. Joe Dispenza is huge for manifesting. That's how you manifest, right? Now, I'm not going to say that I don't manifest anything because I have and I do. And yet I feel, and pardon me, even as I say and ask this, I can hear the answer in my head, but I'm going to see what you guys say because I want to hear it from your perspective. Is that the outer is not manifesting maybe at the rate or speed that I would like, or let's just say that. And I feel like something that you just said about the sun and the focus may be a part of it, but I would love to hear, because you even say at one point that when you are in alignment and have that inner harmony, then everything flows more. There's more ease and your relationships start to come into alignment. Your desires, your dreams start to manifest. with more ease. You don't have to do that. Like, oh, let me hurry up and force. I got to make this happen and I'm going to control and I got to, this whole pushing, driving, forcing energy. You don't have to use that, right? That's the old model. The new model is what you're talking about when you're in alignment. You've cleared up your inner landscape as best as you can, maybe not perfectly, but pretty good. You're pretty solid. And you're in this alignment, you can manifest with ease, with flow. But what do you say to the person who isn't necessarily having the desired outcome? What do you say in terms of that? Is my question clear or should I?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. The thing that came to mind is that we're complicated, and I don't mean that in a judgments. I mean it as in we're complex
We are complex.
machines. And let's take a car, for example, and let's just say we're race car drivers, right? There's so many pieces of that puzzle to make sure it's the fuel, it's the tires, the equipment, the team, the driver, is he or she rested? It's just a lot of things that go into play to win the race. The beauty here is that the race is against ourselves. It's not against anyone else. And what I've noticed, you make a lot of choices. And the more in our book, we will touch on it later, but the first lesson that our characters go through, because it's a novel, is awareness. Become aware. Now, we've heard of the present moment. The present moment helps because you become aware of where you are, not where you think you are, not where you think you want to be. We live so much of our lives in the past or in the future, and very little right here, right now. And
well, can I just pause there for a second?
yes, of
Okay, because
course.
that already is helpful in and of itself. Because the moment that I'm focusing on, and this is for any one of my listeners that are focusing on the future or the desired outcome, the fact that the desired outcome, like it, the fact that I'm focusing that I don't have it is future based, right?
Yes.
I have my energy in the future. Maybe right now I don't have the exact model for my purpose work. Maybe I'm not doing exactly what I desire right now. And if I truly just stay in the moment and go into gratitude for all that I have, like I'm so grateful right now to be having this conversation with you. I'm making impact right now. The three of us are making impact by recording and sharing this. If they here in this moment, then I get full body chills. Then I know I'm in alignment. Now the universe is speaking to me and saying, you're right where you need to be, Kim. But the moment I go to, oh, I don't have blah, blah, blah. Why hasn't this happened yet? Not only is that future based, but I'm also in resistance. The resistance piece is what keeps us, I think, from manifesting. So there's this one podcaster. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. His name is David Bear. And I love him. He always uses this term, desire plus non-resistance equals desired outcome. The moment we go into resistance, you're not going to be manifesting because you're in resistance.
What I can say, for example, what I experience is that at the end is what I want to live. So what I want to create, what experience, I want to experience abundance. So how you live abundantly? Do you want to create freedom? What is freedom for you? And that is the beauty of this, that everyone else has different ways of experience what you want to create.
Yeah.
So in my case right now, that I feel really abundant with a lot of creativity, really in a higher frequency, is because I understand that the most important part is how I keep myself in the highest vibration possible all the time. and loving what I do every minute of the day. What I think goes, the energy is from my heart. So my heart is sending the signal. And that's why it's so important that our brain is connect the right, the left, the gland, and the heart. When you manage to connect all of them and be in a line, it's not so simple. You need to think about it. No, because if you have an emotional body charged with sadness, you cannot manifest freely. You didn't take care of what is holding you back. It's super important that at one point you clean all your system, every cell, for you to vibrate and be enthusiastic of what you are creating. And enthusiastic is, I really love my life, what I'm doing, and how I'm doing it. Even though no one is seeing, this is not for anyone but for me. And I'm connected with me. So in the moment that you begin to understand how important is really forgiveness, let go those ideas that I need to be perfect, that I need to cover myself, and make peace. And we put all this in a novel, in our book, for people to understand how they can achieve, because it's a work that you do every day and every moment. If you begin to understand the game of life, then you begin to play it for you to win. But your win is different than my win. And that's the beauty of this. In the moment that you stay in the highest frequency possible, you can manifest anything you want. And for me, that means love. What is love? I love what I do. I understand how this works. And that's why in our book, we put all the ladies who go to our fictitious spa in the story to really manifest from a place of how you're going to feel. And this or something better for the highest good of all concerned.
Yes, we learned that, right? It's in our novel, there's 5 key lessons. Awareness is one. You cannot make changes unless you analyze yourself and say, I kind of like that about me. Great, keep doing it. I don't necessarily like that much. And then the question that comes after that is, do you want to change it? Because at the end, it's your choice. It's not, you're not here to tell you that you need to be different. We're here to tell you, whoever you are, as you listen, that we found a formula that works for us, that we think could work for you, and it's for your consideration. So awareness, you've mentioned, Kim, and we think it's magical. Gratitude. It's magical in the sense that when you apply it, it really changes you from within. Forgiveness, acceptance. The moment I realized that the person that needed the most forgiveness was myself, and that letting go of what other people did, other things that happened, was a gift that I did for me. I forgive everything and everybody very quickly because I don't want to carry anybody's weight. Acceptance, where I would go around the world fighting everything. Oh no, that's not fair. I'm going to do it differently. I want to flow like water. Water doesn't fight with the things on its way. It pushes them or it simply goes around them. And then the last part, and this is why it's last in our book, and going back to your question, intention. How do you want to live your life? But we often ask for things, but we haven't closed the wounds that are sending signals into the world. I'm a victim. I'm hurt. I'm not loved. Somebody hurt me, etc. This is inside of
If I
us.
don't have this,
Then
this is for somebody else. So it's not really for you. So that's why it's so important to be very clean with ourselves, because we are not here to judge anyone, because everyone is living what they are sending the signal to the universe.
I love that. I so resonate. That was so helpful. I was hanging on every word both of you were saying. And also, I shared with you before we started recording that I just published a book. My book is not fictional, it's based on my true story and my life. And it is based on 5 steps. I have 5 like pillars, 5 parts. And my first one is awareness. I use the acronym POWER, POWER. And the first one is being aware of our patterns. We cannot change that which we don't acknowledge. Nothing will change if we're not aware of it. O is own your shit. It's about going from victimhood to freedom. As long as I'm blaming other people or waiting for someone to fix it for me, I will be forever stuck in victimhood. I'm the only one who can make the changes within myself. So that's ownership, responsibility. And then for me, W and E go hand in hand. W is the willingness to feel in order to heal. And that's what you've been talking about, Rocio. You have to heal. If you have to clean the cells, you have to clean out the body, you have to clean out the emotional reservoir that has been compiling for years and years. So that's W. Then E is being able to embrace and integrate the parts of ourselves that we have rejected, the parts of ourselves we have cut off from, the part of myself that has felt weak for being vulnerable, for example. I always used to think that being vulnerable was a sign of weakness. I didn't even want to acknowledge that I was a perfectionist. As long as I had those parts out there, there was a schism within me. I had to embrace all the parts of me to come into wholeness. We're only whole if all the parts are there. Finally, it's about taking responsibility to create the life you desire, to learn how to set boundaries, to communicate differently, to have the relationships you want to have. There's my 5-step power pathway, which I didn't plan on sharing, but because you, in your book, you have 5 steps or you have 5 pillars. So I thought I would share that. Number 1, I would love to hear more about the book too, if there are more things you want to add in. That was my 5-step power pathway. Let's say there is a person listening right now to this episode, and maybe they're visiting this podcast for the first time. And they are saying to themselves, yeah, that sounds great. I want to be able to do that. I want to have all that. But you know what? Not me. It's not going to happen to me. It's not accessible for me. I've tried to do that before. I can't do it. Do you have something that you could say to this person that might be listening to the podcast for the first time and hearing what you're saying? Because what we're talking about is high level, right? When we talk about high vibration, this is high level living.
This is creating the life that you really are super happy to have.
Absolutely.
This is incredible.
Yes.
My mom died when she was 48, and she didn't have this kind of talk. So when I was 20, I really was totally broken, lost, and you don't have idea, the worst, okay? I left my life completely alone and without any, I didn't know how to begin. So for that person who is there outside, what I want to say is number 1 is worth it. The small step that you can take today to believe in yourself is worth it. Number 2, please go and buy the book of Kim and my book, our book. Why? Because instead of waiting like I wait 30 years to have the answers, you're going to have them and you're going to have inspiration to really begin to see how you can tackle, to enter to all this information that they've been telling us that is difficult, that is not easy, that you need to be super amazing. I'm not amazing. I grew up in the most unremarkable household, okay, with a lot of violence. I tried to kill myself. I suffered sexual abuse. I was totally alone in the world. I didn't went to university. But look what I was able to create only because I didn't comply. No, I can do it better. I was able to feel comfortable in the uncomfortable. I was able to teach myself how to really release, because that's the most important, and I'm not remarkable at all. So it's worth it. If you have any doubts with anything, we are more than happy to help, because that happened for us to share and people to begin to see that a Mexican without anything really remarkable in her life be able to have today a beautiful life. Anyone can do it. And that's why we are doing it, Kim.
I know. Same with me.
We are doing it because really what we saw after going to 65 countries or more, a lot of people searching, but searching in a place where continue to go. In the moment that I was able to see inside of me and understand that part, I was able to crack the code, and it's like, we need to share this to the world. That's why we did a novel. It's not a self-help book. It's a novel that teach you through the characters, the journey, and how to use the tools of, okay, I'm gonna write and I'm gonna take this monster who is inside of me, who is mad to the world because they didn't teach them to really how to regulate or how to. So at that point, I was your listener, but I didn't speak English until 8 years ago, more or less, maybe 15. Yes. So is all these things that has been pushing and pushing really is the best part is that we are having this conversation and people can see how incredible. For me, took me 30 years. For him, took him 4 years. Okay? I don't know how long took you.
30
But
years. 30 years.
So imagine how cool is this, because the other day we were in Colombia and someone was telling us, oh my God, I'm so happy to be here in your book presentation because I share this. I became my best friend at 50 and I'm 53. And she say, I'm 25. And now because I'm listening you and what you are saying and I'm getting the information, I'm gonna be able to do it at 26. And it's yes, that's the point.
I love that you're saying that. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for being so vulnerable and sharing your story. Like, that is what helps people to really connect and identify, right? That's not easy to do, to share your story that way. So thank you, first of all, for doing that. And then secondly, I wholeheartedly agree with you about the woman who came up to me that's 25, because like I have a 26 and a 23-year-old, and my niece who is the same age, 23, and her friend, they were helping me to record as I was teaching my book in my 5-step power pathway to do an online course. They were just helping me with the camera and all that stuff. But while I was teaching, they were taking it all in, right? They were taking all of it in. And then when I was done, my niece said to me, Aunt Kim, can we do more of this? Like, they wanted to keep going. So now I'm continuing to meet with them once a week to help them understand their patterns and how they're showing up inauthentically. They're not being their true selves because they're too afraid to take off the mask and be who they truly are because of whatever happened. And they're already uncovering stories, examples of what happened in childhood that started the wound They're making the connections and the light bulbs are going off like crazy, and they're 23. I tell them, you have no idea how amazing it is that you are learning this now and that you are getting this now, because you're saving yourself decades of pain and suffering. There will always be pain, right? Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. You are saving yourself years of suffering, of being miserable. I'm just so excited. Like you talked earlier, just about the feeling I get is like love, is gratitude that I get to help these two young girls. I feel so blessed when I see younger people getting that earlier. And I'm so glad that you shared that with me as well. Is there anything else about the book that you would like to share with the listeners that you feel would be a great nugget for them to take from this episode?
Well, look, I mean, I think the book is written as a novel. We followed a percentage, you know, that saying that says life is 10% what happens and 90% how you react. Well, the book
Yes.
is written in that fashion. So 10% of the book is about the life and drama and traumas of the five women that we're going to follow. Essentially, the story is like this: a woman is raised to be a great wife and then marries, has a child. 13 years later, her husband leaves her for another woman, and she finds herself heartbroken because she was told that was her only purpose. And the story goes that she goes around the world 10 years. This is what we traveled together outside of the United States for 10 years. Mary is her name. More than heal, she just finds this profound understanding of how now she can navigate the world. And the only thing she wants to do is share it with other women. And so she founds this spa, this retreat center. We say it's the best and most amazing retreat center in the world, in which she has been receiving 30 women for 20 years, 30 women a week for 20 years. And we find her 20 years into that experience. And we're going to follow very closely five of them. One is sexually abused. One is angry with the world because she's had to fight for everything that she has. And she is not going to be apologetic for everything she's had to do. And in fact, she's like, I will continue because nothing matters but me. Right. There is another woman in which she has divorced and has not been able to get over it 5 years later. And her kids are paying the price. So is her job. There is a woman who is on top of the world. She just finished giving a speech at the United Nations and does not enjoy it because she only sees the glass half empty. Thank you. And there is a woman who is gay and at 30 has not told her parents for fear of not being loved. These are archetypes that are really us in many different ways. Each one of them goes there and they don't know each other, but they're going to learn because they're at a crossroads in their lives, which is, I'm done. Enough of this. I don't seem to be able to get over this, whatever this is. And we all have that. And that's where they come across awareness, gratitude, forgiveness, acceptance, and intention, which become the tools with which they begin to see their lives differently. And it's not that they reach a place and it's like, oh,
Right.
we're done. No, it's that they become really well acquainted with tools that throughout the book, but really throughout their lives, they can put into practice. And so that 90% that I spoke about in the book, it's really about teaching these five women different tools that they can use: journaling, women's circles, Sue, and energy
What's Watsu? Sorry. Just I don't know what it
Watsu
is. Maybe.
is a therapy. You know, Kim, at one point, the answers is not in one place. The answers that you're going to resonate are in different places. Don't give your power away
to one thing ever, to anything.
This is about the people who are reading and listen. Is never give your power away. You can reclaim it. If you give it already and it's like, okay, so how I'm going to put my house in order? So they have different teachers and healers and different therapies for them to begin to see that this is the journey. this is life, but you can play it to stay in a very sad place or thriving place. So is you choosing. No one is forcing us. In the moment that I begin to understand that a thought can be erased, for me was like oh, I have a huge power to understand that what happened in my life doesn't define me. I became my best friend. And the last 3 years has been absolutely amazing. And the only thing that I can recommend to anyone living with a mask, living in a very, with
Chains.
Yeah.
is the only person who has the power to cut free is ourselves. But in more and more, we have these conversations and people begin to see different examples. They're gonna do it on their own way, and it's
Yeah.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, Kim, I was having a conversation with a group of women, and they were really young. And I was, please be really tolerant with people who has been conditioned to think in a certain way for more time, because you have the people who are 18, 17, 60, 50. You see, you begin to see when you are 15, you've been conditioned less, men and women. So in the moment that we begin to see how we can manage better our emotions, our thoughts, our words, and what we generate, we really are being free to create.
Yeah. I
So-
totally agree with that. I firmly believe that it is a practice and that is something that we revisit over and over again, that spiral of healing. And I'll give you an example of how it just happened to me. So yesterday, I was definitely more in a lower state, right? I call it a primal state, or I was more in a funk, just miserable yesterday. I was aware that the last few days I was eating a little bit more, like munching. I was having cravings for sugar, and I haven't had that in a really long time. I have a practice of journaling 20 minutes every single night. I journaled last night and again today. I could tell right below the surface there was some old energy and pattern that wanted to come to the surface and wanted my attention, love and care. So I'm journaling, it's not coming. And then all of a sudden it was like, whoosh, there it was, right? So it's just like, the floodgates just open and I'm writing and I'm feeling it and I'm crying and I'm feeling the pain. And then that's what allowed me, I believe, to be even more open and present today on my walk. I was able to be in abundance and feel the gratitude because I was able to clear, as you said, Angel, the water. Yesterday, if we use the water analogy, my water was murky, muddy, stale, and stagnant. I had to do something to move it. And then I did. Now today, the water is flowing clear and just going, right? I like to remind listeners and myself that it is not a one and done. The work we're talking about isn't just like you arrive at some pinnacle. Over time, your vibration gets higher and higher, but you will still revisit some things. There's things that have to be addressed and cleared and clean. Do you have any thoughts on that before we close?
This reminds me of some imagery that I had when I was taking courses, reading a lot of books, and really going deep, is that we are like sculptors at different stages of sculpting. There are some people that just got this square block, right? And it's like, I don't know where to start. Get your chisel, get your hammer, and hit it hard. And that could be journaling. 3 minutes a day, 3 minutes a week, little by little, you become better at it. We do many exercises, as we mentioned in the book. One of the exercises is really gazing at yourself in the mirror and saying, I love you. We say 108 times because you can take a mala and just go through the beats and have a way of counting. Just say, I love you to yourself enough times until you start to feel it. So if you're starting a good way to do that, it's really to start these little steps. And again, do read our book. It's set up like a 7-day retreat so that you can experience a little bit of what these women are experiencing and hopefully say, I tried something and it felt kind of good. So I'm going to try it again. And then maybe you pick another chisel and another hammer, and all of a sudden, what emerges? It's you. You begin to emerge from that rock because what we've done is we've covered ourselves with these difficult covers. One of the things that we say that the book does, all it really is a container of love. And we run away from our pain, from our traumas, because we're afraid of visiting it, because we feel the shame and the guilt. And the orchid is really a container of love that allows you to feel a little bit lighter, protected, taken care of, supported, so that you can go inside that dark place within you and take out the needles that are holding you back, that are giving you pain, that are going to show up each and every time you're working on a project, on your dreams. They show up.
And that's why you don't manifest.
Because you don't realize your subconscious is fighting your past until you really do and acknowledge it. And sometimes it's just saying, I see you, pain. I see that you're there.
I'm going to feel it.
I will allow you to exist, but not for as long as you want to. And all of a sudden, you start to feel different and you start seeing those little moments that encourage you. And you're like, oh, to your point, I feel different today because I tackled something. And, in your case, you've been tackling, it sounds, for a long time. So you become really good at it. And maybe our listener will be like, oh, I don't know where to start. Just pick up the hammer and the chisel and start hitting something and see what emerges.
And if I may end on, in addition to picking up the chisel, pick up the orchid.
Yes, of course.
So let the listeners know where they can find you. And first of all, let me just say before we get into that, this has been such a joy, like such a pleasure. I really enjoyed talking with both of you. My heart feels full. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm so grateful that we were connected with one another. And then if anyone who's listening to this episode would like to get the orchid or they want to reach out to you, what's the best way? And of course, I'll put it all in the show notes.
You can reach us at our website. It's www.theorchidbook.com. You can also use the Orchid Book on Instagram. The book is available in English and Spanish, electronic, print, and audiobook. And I must say the audiobooks are spectacular. And again, they are a 7-day journey into a retreat in which you really follow these 5 amazing women as they're realizing that everything they're looking for is already inside of them. They learn tools, as you will, for living a better life and becoming your best self and the most authentic self that you can be, which is the only goal in anyone's life. Should be anyway. Don't try to be us. Don't try to be Kim. Be yourself. We want you to shine, because when you shine, you help all of us, because this world becomes lighter, better, greater conscience.
100%.
Really is the best present you can have for yourself. You discover the golden inside of you. And that doesn't have any price. It's really remarkable to live in that place. So let me read only the dedication.
Please.
Is to all who journey through these pages, may you be inspired to rewrite your own narrative and live a life of love, free of limitations, and enriched by the knowledge that you are powerful beyond belief.
So beautiful. So beautiful. I love the work that both of you are doing. And again, thank you so much for being here today.
Kim, really, I'm so grateful to be here. And I think the listener is going to take with them something important and so valuable that really is special. I didn't feel this before, but today something happened. So Great. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for the space. It's been absolutely wonderful. We've loved meeting you and conversing with you.
Hey, Kim Gross here. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Masks Off for People Pleasers and Perfectionists. I invite you to hop on over to my website, kimgrosscoaching.com. Right there on the front page, there's a quiz for people pleasers and perfectionists. You can find out if you have tendencies. You can also get into my newsletter where you will be given valuable content every week on different topics I share here in the podcast. And if you really did enjoy this episode, if you found it helpful, if you found it valuable, please go to, if you're on YouTube, go and subscribe. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, then I invite you to leave a review. You can even do a star review. It doesn't have to be a written review. If you know of someone who can benefit from this podcast or this particular episode, please share it with them. I'll see you next time.